Hello, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Mariam Mwanga. I hope you've watched part 1 to part 3 of this video. If you're new to this channel and you're searching for reliable and healthy weight loss tips, you're at the right place. Subscribe and turn on the notification bell for more updates. In this video, we are going to discuss about digestion and metabolism in relation to weight management. Digestion is the breaking down of large insoluble food molecules into small water-soluble food molecules so that they can be absorbed into watery blood plasma. While metabolism is the chemical reaction in the body cells that change food into energy through catabolism and anabolism process. What is catabolism and anabolism? Catabolism occurs when you are digesting food. For example, it's a process that dissolves a piece of bread into simple nutrients your body can use, like glucose or blood sugar. And if your body isn't getting enough food and nutrients, catabolism is the mechanism that breaks down muscles and fat for energy. While anabolism occurs in the bodybuilding process. For example, when your body is trying to heal a wound or a cut, it adds tissues and structures around the wound. It is the process which is also involved in child's growth and building strong muscles. Let us look at these two human body diagrams and understand more about digestion and metabolism. Metabolism and digestion are two concepts which are in one. Digestion process begins in the mouth. It begins the moment you put a piece of food in your mouth. The breaking down starts with the chewing of the piece of food, and the throat begins to secrete saliva. However, the process of secrete of saliva can start with the smell or sight of food before even you put it in your mouth. Saliva contains metabolic enzymes which helps to digest the starches and fat into glucose and fat acid consecutively. Saliva enzymes cannot break down protein. Protein digestion process occurs in the stomach, where there are enzymes which can break down protein. Let's talk about how food tastes. We can taste food from taste buds because it contains cells that send signals to the brain and sense the 5 basic tastes of the food, like sweet, sour, salty, bitter, while nerves in your nose, mouth, eyes, and throat let you experience the quality of the food that you eat. After you eat and swallow, the food enters into esophagus. This tube connects the throat to the stomach. There are a series of muscles which pushes food downward to the stomach. There, it is mixed with digestive enzymes and continue the digestion process, including protein digestion process. Digestion ends at anus. After stomach, the thick liquid of digestive foods and digestive juice made in the stomach move to the small intestine. Then the muscles in the small intestine mix food with digestive juice from the liver, pancreas, and intestine wall. Then the walls of the small intestine absorb water and nutrients into bloodstream for supply to the different parts of the body. The waste products of the digestive process move into large intestine. The large intestine absorbs water, mineral, and remaining nutrients from the undigested food and change the waste into stool. The lower end of the intestine stores stool until it pushes stool out of your anus during the bowel movement. In previous videos, I told you about fiber, and we learned that fibers are part of carbohydrate which does not change into sugar or glucose. Fiber in small intestine helps to lower glucose during the absorption process of nutrients into the blood and lower the blood cholesterol. Fiber also helps to avoid constipation and promote a stiff stool, which can also help to escape the risk of cancer in the large intestine. This diagram shows how protein, carbohydrate, and fat food break down into amino acid, sugar, and fat acids, and then form fuel that goes to the engine to form body energy needed for different activities in the body. But it also shows that the extra fuel or the excess fuel are changed to fatty acids and stored in the body as fat, and this is what causes heavy weight. But it also shows how fuel is added in the body engine and form energy for different body activities. This energy is what we call calories. Calories or food calories is the amount of energy released when you digest and absorb food. Let's take an example. In this diagram, let's consider cash as fuel which came from carbohydrate, sugar, while liver is a checking account. So when you eat calories from carbohydrates, they turn into glucose, and the sugar are absorbed in the small intestine and transferred to the liver through bloodstream. Within the liver, they are called glycogen, and the excess glycogen or the excess glucose are turned into fatty acids, that is body fat, which cause increase in your body weight. And therefore, this explains that the amount of calories intake should reflect the amount of calories used in order to balance weight, because any excess calories will be saved as fat in different parts of the body. This is how body fat looks in our body. This is how fat looks like in our body, inside our body. There are different ways that body fat cells are stored. Before going further, we should remind ourselves that every human being is born with essential body fats, which are necessary for body function. And this diagram shows the percentage of body fats. People with less than 7% fat are considered to be ripped, and these body fats are very hard to maintain, because to reach this amount of fat, you must starve. You must restrict too much of calories intake, which will help you to become more slim, but will boost your appetite in a long run, which will make it hard to maintain this amount of body fat or the slimness. There is something you need to know. Not all body pounds are created equally. Your total body weight isn't how you look. Two people can have same weight measure but different look. This is because one can have high percent in fat and other have high percent in muscles. Always, the high percent in fat are less measured in a scale than the high percent of muscle. The second percentage is 10 to 12% of body fats. This is considered to be excellent and healthy, but it is also hard to sustain. While 14 to 18% of body fat is considered to be healthy and sustainable, and many researchers recommend 14 to 18% of body fat, while 22 to 25% of body fat is considered to be slightly overweight, and lastly 30% and up, very high risk to obesity. So once you are planning to lose weight, you must consider the percentage that you want to meet, so that you cannot fall into less than 7% and hard to maintain, or you cannot exceed 22 plus, which is overweight and high risk to obesity. The two types of fatty cell deposits are subcutaneous and visceral. Subcutaneous is normally harmless and may even protect you against some diseases. Everyone is born with subcutaneous fat, but increase depend on genetics and lifestyle. These are fat which are deposited in between muscles and skin, and they are mostly deposited in thigh, legs, buttocks, and under the skin. However, in spite that subcutaneous fats are harmless, the overdeposit of fat is also harmful. The increased amount of subcutaneous fat is caused by eating more calories than the body can burn, sedentary lifestyle, if someone have little muscle mass, if someone gets little acrobatic exercise, if someone have diabetes, and if someone have insulin resistance. There are importance of subcutaneous fat, which are body storage. They store fat which can be used when you have limited energy, can protect the muscles and bones because it is in the middle of the skin and the muscle. It acts as connection tissue between bones and muscle. It is also helps in regulating temperature through the underskin fat. The second fat storage is visceral. This is associated with internal organs. This type of fats normally surround stomach, liver, and intestine. This is visceral fat surrounded small and large intestine versus normal intestine, while this is visceral fat surround the heart versus normal heart. And the last example is visceral fat blanketing the small intestine, and this is visceral fat in the female abdomen, while this is visceral fat in male abdomen. This is how fat deposit looks in our body under the skin. It is very scary. That is why we have to do something when you overpercent body fat. Everyone has visceral fats, but excessive is very harmful. There are different signs for excessive visceral fats, and one of them is apple shape or pear shape. And to identify subcutaneous fat, you should normally measure your waist. For a man, an obesity starts when your waist measure 40 and above. While for a woman, an obese start when you measure 35 and above. The outcomes of extreme subcutaneous and vascular fats are heart disease and stroke. Vascular fat blanket limits blood flow to and from the heart and cause heart disease and stroke. It also causes diabetes type 2, high blood pressure, fatty liver disease, sleeping disorders, and kidney disease. There are different ways that you can overcome body fat, which are through metabolic rate management, exercise, and diet. Let's start with metabolic rate management, ways of overcoming body fats. Metabolic rate is divided into three: basal metabolic rate, thermal effect of food, and physical activities. As metabolism being a complex chemical process in the body that converts calories into energy, metabolic rate of converting food calories into energy can influence body weight gain or body weight loss. The higher the metabolic rate, the easier you can lose your weight and keep it off. Eating more than the required in the body metabolism, it is stored as fat in different parts of the body. Basal metabolic rate is the energy used at rest to keep all systems in function, like breathing, heartbeats, blood flow, growth, repair, adjust hormones, etc. These activities spend about 60 to 75% of calories that you eat in a day. Thermal effect of food. This is energy used to digest, absorption, transport of food to the stomach, and storing of the nutrients as fat deposits. This took 5 to 10% of the daily calories that you eat. While physical activities energy, like walking, standing, and etc., use about 20% of the calories or energy that you eat in a day. It is important to manage your metabolic rate versus the amount of calories or energy that you eat in a day to avoid the amount of the fat deposit. The factors that affect your metabolic rate is amount of lean mass. Lean mass helps to boost metabolism, fat burning process, or calories burning process. The second factor is body fat. Too fat can also affect the metabolic rate, so it is important to burn more fat to improve metabolic rate. The another factor is nervous and hormone imbalance. If you are so nervous and stressed and also have hormone imbalance, especially for those who are taking pills, it can also reduce your metabolic rate. Also, another factor is environmental temperature. When you are in cold, your body burns to maintain temperature, and in hot, your body releases fat through sweat to maintain temperature. Another factor is physical exercise. Physical exercise can help you to improve your metabolic rate. Another factor is age. The more you age, the more the muscles you lose, and the more the fat you store, because muscles are thirsty of calories, and the more the fat that you save, the less the metabolic rate. Another factor is genetic disorder. Some people inherit the low metabolic rate from ancestors, so they are always fat. Most of them are always fat from childhood, and it is very hard to lose. And lastly, healthy eating. Second way of getting rid of body fat is through diets. There are hundreds of weight loss diets, but commonly used are calorie counting diet, ketogenic diet, high protein diet, and low carbohydrate diet. But I recommend that you use calories counting diet or ketogenic diet for a successful short period and reliable weight loss. Calorie counting, this based on the amount of calories that you eat versus the amount of energy that is used in the day. While ketogenic is the diet which is very high in fat, adequate protein, and low in carbohydrates, especially those complex carbohydrates. While high protein diet, 20% of daily meals consist of protein, and low carbohydrate diet is limitation of high carbohydrate diet, especially complex carbohydrate. And the last way of overcoming body fat is through exercise. There are many exercises which can easily overcome body fat, but for beginners, I recommend the 3 types of exercise to overcome visceral and subcutaneous fats, which are movement-based activities, yoga, and weight training or stretch exercise. Movement-based activities includes walking, running, cycling, swimming, jogging, and many other activities that increase your heartbeats. At least you should do the movement-based activity 30 minutes a day minimum, and this will be moderate. Speaking about moderate, it means that when you are doing the activities, you can talk but you cannot sing. You can make a trial. Let's say walking. If you can speak when you are walking but you cannot sing when you are walking, that is moderate and successfully workout. And another measurement is to see if your heartbeats are increased. If your heartbeats are increased, that means your workout is successful. The second exercise is yoga. Yoga is an unscientific practice that involves physical poses, concentration, and deep breathing. This not only helps in body fat burning, but it also helps in concentration and improve the blood flow. It can also help in boosting physical and mental well-being. Lastly, weight training or stretching exercise. These are very important exercises because they don't only burn fat during the exercise, but your body can burn more fat 2 hours after the exercise up to 3 days after exercise. Example of weight training or stretch exercise are climbing stairs, dancing, hill walking, digging, cycling, and also lifting heavy objects. For a successfully weight training or stretch, if you want to do weight training stretch 1 day per week, you should exercise for 60 to 90 minutes. And if you want to exercise 2 to 3 days per week, you should exercise 45 to 60 minutes. While if you want to exercise 5 days per week, you should exercise 20 minutes per day. Another importance of yoga is also help to reduce or resist food craving. Thank you for your time. I hope you benefited. In case of any question, drop comment below, and for coaching services, feel free to contact me through WhatsApp number on the dashboard. Thank you.